As spring progresses, life gets a little easier. The dragonfly larvae are turning from beasts into beauties. And the tadpoles are becoming too big for a newt to handle, or indeed munch. They're growing up fast and they soon develop distinctive froggy skin. By June, the miracle of transformation is complete. Out of every 100 eggs, only 2 will have made it this far. No bigger than a thumbnail, these tiny but perfectly formed little froglets must now set off in search of a place to live. Where have their parents gone to? What do young froglets have ahead of them? How will they manage to survive out there in the big city? Adult frogs can travel over 1 kilometre to find a green space to live in. Parks and gardens are the best bet. But are they safe there? Lawn mowers kill thousands of frogs every year, especially the tiny ones. They just don't think to get out of the way. But cats can be even worse killers, and they're not out just once a week like lawn mowers. They're a deadly threat all year round. The pond is definitely the safest place to be, but mortal danger is never far away. They might croak at any time. You could say it's a frog's life.
Oh, poor frogs. They do have a rough old time. And cats really are a danger. They're thought to kill at least 4 million frogs a year. So if you want to help a frog, it's very simple. Just keep your cat inside at night, and that will make all the difference. Now, here I am, almost thigh deep in a pond, and I don't think I have ever been surrounded by quite as much wildlife on this farm as I am here. This is the most extraordinary habitat for such a wide range of wildlife, and yet it's hard to believe that this lake is actually artificial. It was built. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is to build a pond. It doesn't have to be this size, but it really is about the most significant thing you can do if you want to make space for nature. For that very reason, the reason that it supports so many animals, not just amphibians like frogs and toads and newts, but also it's a breeding ground for dragonflies. We've got dragonflies whizzing around all over the place here, damselflies mating, and it's a hunting ground for birds like swallows. We've seen them over the lake coming and catching the midges and flies that are emerging from the lake in the evening. Bats too are very drawn to water. Benton bats particularly will come swooping in to catch flies. So you really are creating a perfect habitat for so much wildlife. And by leaving lots of vegetation like this around the edge, again, you're making refuges for mammals that can then come in and use the pond to drink. Now, I know it sounds like a tall order and people might think, oh, heavens, I mean, you know, bird box is one thing, but digging a pond, it doesn't have to be huge. Even a metre square will make a difference. You will attract frogs or newts to your garden simply by having a small area of water. And most garden centres now will supply liners, either that stuff that looks like kind of bin bag or a moulded liner, so you can go out and get that. Even an old sink, an enamel sink will work, but what you need to do, and something that you really need to be aware of if you want amphibians to come to your pond, is make sort of entry and exit points. So if you were using a sink, build a sort of ramp, if you like, with stones so that frogs can get out. Leave the vegetation long around the sides so that they feel kind of protected and safe. Stones are also good, or piles of wood, and by doing that you're really going to help redress a balance, because in the last 50 years Britain has lost over half its ponds. Many of the agricultural ponds have been filled in, so we're in desperate need for these little watery oases, and you could really help make a difference. And do tell us about it. In fact,